Okay, before I start, I'd just like to make a little disclaimer here. I do not actually support Texas seceding from the Union. I just had this cool shirt and I needed a topic. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. In 2014, the Union Jack almost changed for good. That iconic white, blue, and red flag that flies over the UK would have lost the white stripes if 5% of Scotland, if 5 more percent of Scotland voted in favor of seceding from the United Kingdom. They very narrowly voted no, with 55% voting against secession. That would have dissolved the bonds which have connected Scotland and the United Kingdom since 1707. Very similar battles are going on right now in Catalonia in Spain and in Flanders in Belgium and the Kurds of the Middle East. They're all pushing for independence right now. Now, half a world away, you wouldn't think it, but right here in our own United States, Texas is actually pushing for independence. Now, I've lived in Texas for a very large portion of my life, and I know the state very well. 34%, according to the Los Angeles Times, are pushing for independence of Texas, which I can definitely vouch for. An independent Texas would not only be good for Texas, it'd be good for all Americans. So Louisianans, you have a stake in this too. Today in my speech, I'm going to cover the history of an independent Texas, the reasons and the financial data that support Texas's independence, and why everyone, Texans or Americans, should all check yes for secession. So to begin, Texas was first settled by the Spaniards in the early 1500s. We were one of the first states in the United States to be colonized at all. Since then, we've had an influx of settlers from all sorts of European countries, South America, Native Americans, Africans, Asians. They've come from all over, and it's made a very unique culture that Texas has. The first settlers to really come from, they were Anglo, so more the modern Texas, came with Stephen F. Austin. They were the Old 300 is what they were called. Those are the first 300 settlers that Mexico allowed to come from the United States to Texas. Now, when those 300 came, those 300 families are very upset because Mexico didn't protect them, didn't keep them safe at all. So ever since then, I guess we've sort of had a little bit of a rebellious side, and we wanted to stay away from our government. So in 1835, the Battle of Gonzales was the first big battle of the Texas Revolution when we seceded from Mexico. Everyone's heard of the Battle of the Alamo, and there was also the Battle of Goliad, which were very bloody battles in which the Spaniards decimated the Texans, which really banded Texans together. We didn't like them because of it, and it really brought us together, and we thought maybe we should really get rid of these Mexicans. They're very mean to us, so let's get rid of them. In 1836, we actually became an independent nation, but we are now, of course, a state. We went through 9 years of being an independent nation. However, Mexico was a threat then, as well as Native American Indians. We had to worry about both raiding us constantly, but times have changed. We don't have to worry about Mexico walking in here with guns, destroying our settlers. We don't have to worry about Indians coming and stealing our wheat or whatever. So times have changed, and I think this needs to be reconsidered. Now, to continue, everything is bigger in Texas, including our GDP. If Texas were to secede right now from the United States, it would be the 13th largest GDP in the world. And that's comparable with Australia. It'd be $1.19 trillion. Of course, Australia's a little bit bigger, but it'd be in Australia right next to the United States. One of the biggest reasons that Texans want this is because for every dollar that Texans send to Washington, Washington sends 83 cents back. Now you're wondering, where does this other 17% go? It goes to other states that just can't afford it. So it's not fair to Texans. Other states are reaching into our coffers, if you will, and taking our money, and that's not very fair to us. Also, if Texas were to be an independent nation, we could finally secure our borders, which the American government has not been willing to do for us. There are 1.68 million undocumented workers living in Texas alone, and 50,000 in Louisiana. So an independent Texas with a secured border, which would be high on our priority list, would not only protect us, it would protect our neighboring states, including Louisiana, which is where much of my audience is from. So you've heard all this, and now you say, how can I help? If you're a Louisianan or Texan, or any state from that matter, you can go to thetnm.org. That stands for the TexasNationalMovement.org, and you can sign the petition there, which thousands of people have already signed. You can also call your senator. I worked for Senator Vitter from Louisiana, actually, in D.C., and I was on the phones, and I know firsthand that if you call your senator with any problem you have at all, it will go in the computer, and the senator will eventually read it. So feel free to call your senator and push this through. Texas is tired of getting the short end of the stick. We're tired of spending a dollar and getting 83 cents back. That's not fair to us. We're tired of needing our borders secured, but they have not been secured by the government. So this should change. In the 1830s or the 1840s when we wanted to join the United States, we had to worry about Mexicans invading us all the time. We had to worry about Indians invading us all the time. But those threats are non-existent. So this needs to be reconsidered seriously. Thank you very much.